burnout.
Right.
We're good, buddy.
If Dedham keeps their celebration, they'll be the only one.
Yes, a lot.
We'll all spend 16.
I'll call the meeting to order. I guess the first thing up is agenda approval of the agenda. I take a motion and a second on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, next up is the minutes, and it'd be the minutes for the 11th. Is that right?
And the updated ones.
And the updated minutes for the 11th, and you guys did get a copy of the update. Okay. Any comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, the updated ones.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the updated minutes from May 11th. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up is COVID-19 update, and I'll turn it over to Sarah. So you can give us update first.
So we did have our seventh positive case this morning. Public health had just been notified right before it hit the map. I had all of the emergency managers talk every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. And there were several people stating that they had, it was just a big guess as to what she was going to talk about at 11 o'clock today. But in the call at 9 o'clock this morning, it was that several are canceling their county fairs. Several are canceling their outdoor events. They're canceling concerts or canceling all sorts of things. The bigger counties kind of heeded warning to the smaller counties that if she were to open things up on the 11th, that we should all proceed with caution as to problems that they are seeing in their counties. I feel like this whole thing is circling back to the first message of 80% of the people are going to get this and it's just going to be a mild illness. So we kind of went from, that was the message, to lock everything down, to mask everybody up, back to 80% of the people are just going to receive or get this illness, and then it's going to just be a mild illness. And so now we got to open things back up. So I do feel like there are several people being cautious. There are several people saying, open things back up. What we need to realize in counties that have 100+ cases, they're saying that the contact tracing is nearly impossible. By the time they're notified, they're saying that the test Iowa results are not given at the same time as the state hygienic lab. They may be being done in the exact same place. They may be announced on the map, but they're not notifying the public health for about an additional 48 hours. That's a big concern that was brought up in the meeting today, is that the notification to then reach out to the people and then get the contact tracing as to who they had been around, and they make you go back 10 days previous. Well, how many people can remember who they all saw in the last 10 days? And so then it's just behind. It's behind by 48 hours. You're going back 10 days. And so when you do have somewhat of an outbreak, you can easily go from what we saw in Crawford County to 15 cases to almost 200 cases in a matter of 2 weeks' time. So
It escalated fast over there.
any of the counties that have an outbreak, it escalates fast. And so what they're running into is, even if people do get it it's a malformed illness, they're calling in sick. So they're having several places of business, your long-term cares, your EMS. I know that there's counties that have reached out to the governor. The National Guard is delivering PPE. The National Guard is delivering food to the food banks of Iowa. But the next task that they are looking at for the National Guard is to provide relief to EMS, just so that they could be like a driver. So if there's people missing from EMS, or there's people missing in the healthcare world, they have a body to fill that driver position. So they've seen that in some of the counties with a higher rate. So you might not have people out for 14 days, but if you have people that are sick and then they're recommending you be symptom-free for 3 days, you could still potentially have an employee out for a minimum of a week, is what, minimum of a week. So
with that particular scenario, Daryl, do you have a good understanding of how and who to call to get one of those drivers if you need it?
oh, they haven't even approved it yet.
Oh.
But that's what they're saying in these larger counties that have the high numbers. They're seeing the employee fatigue, and they're putting out messages. They said that iServe database is not updated. There are several counties that are going to that iServe to pull information, and they've got wrong phone numbers. They've got wrong addresses. It's been quite of a chore just to go to the volunteer registry to try to pull CNAs, LPNs, people with healthcare. If we are not in that situation, but I'm saying if we were to become in that situation, that was the warning that was heeded to us, is if you move forward with things, still be cautiously aware of what you're doing and maintain the social distancing message. And the cleaning has to be ramped up. The message of the masking when people come up, the by appointment, still trying to have as many people work from home as possible. You're opening up, but you're opening up slowly, as we still don't want to task our local medical resources, and we still don't want an outbreak. I'm sorry, we don't want to go to 200 cases. They said the contact tracing is an absolute nightmare once you get up in those numbers.
Daryl, how's your people doing? Are they getting a little fatigued from some of this? I know I have one in my family, and they're getting very fatigued, but they're right underneath the gun every day, all day. And I can tell it's starting to wear.
Cleaning and all that stuff is wearing on some.
Yeah.
And then, so talking about the number of cases, I sent out an email to Rich, Carrie, Daryl and Ken, that stated, so currently with our 7 cases, public health would tell the comm center who that is. And then, so if there would be a call that would come to that residence, that the comm center would know. Well, when you get upwards of 100, 200, 2,000 cases, it's basically a full-time job telling the dispatch 911 center where all these people live. And then you got to tell them when they've recovered and they got to take them out of it. So that there was a handful of counties that told us that it's absolutely ridiculous to try to put every single one of those into the CAD to tell everybody, so that you need to treat every household, every situation that you're in for the next 30, 60, 90, however this goes on days, that they are the potential COVID, you just have to be aware of that. As to right now, we're maintaining that. But if that person had infected, let's say 10 pages of people, and we're 48 hours behind on contacting those people, you may not have a direct residence that the person got the positive case, but this person in this house could get the positive case 2 days after that.
So they're gonna have to be real careful of just doing nothing but symptoms. If the symptoms even,
And
you're just gonna have to guard against
That's
it.
what they're doing.
Okay.
Things come out where the kid with their PP.
Expect the worst and take the best. Okay.
We'll get them if it's a trauma that's patient and COVID, because it's a trauma and it's a thing, we just.
Right.
forgive the thing.
And then the other thing that was discussed was, I think you're looking at it right now, the city of Perry is really pushing that the state releases the zip code. So that if there were 4 cases out of the 7 in Manning, then the Manning community just has more of a
Heightened alert.
heightened awareness. They're not saying that we need to release who these people are, but if you're able to contain it to a community, then people just, that social distancing reminder, yes, we need to open things back up, but we just constantly have to think about the social distance.
And that might be a rolling thing that 911 can keep track of on the side without entering them in. They can say, this zip code, they scratch off and went from 2 to 3, that they kind of know.
But that is not, as you saw in that email, it's not approved yet. So that they're really pushing on the state to be able to, moving forward, let the communities know the cases by zip code.
Kind of makes it. Okay, anything else for Daryl? You feeling comfortable with what we got going on? I know we're starting to creep up a little bit. We're not seeing what everybody else is seeing, but
I don't know if I can open up Monday. Maybe Rossi go back to work Monday.
I think I'd rather wait a little bit longer yet, just for the entertainment value. We'll talk about that later, but yeah, I'm right now, I'm thinking that I just think that'd probably be a little bit better for just a little bit longer. Let's see where the numbers take another bounce or not.
Mm-hmm.
How is Roxy getting along? Working good. Okay. Very good. The next thing that you guys have any questions for Sarah? You want to make any comments here? I know we heard the governor today, and there's a little bit more relax of some of the rules. And obviously, from what I've been told, it'll be 2 weeks before we know the ramifications of that anyway. So, anything else you guys would like to add? Okay, well, hearing nothing, I think we'll move on to maybe the next piece of this. Also, Stephanie had visited with the city manager, Mike Poggy Weaver, and she had come up with a policy that they're looking very hard at about how they're handling their employees. And I think you guys got copies of that. I thought it was pretty specific. I like some of the things that are in there. they make some sense. It might be better if, because you all know we're headed for vacation time's getting hot and heavy, and I understand that too. But we also have to protect our coworkers in this situation too. You know, if you go to one of those areas where there's lots of cases, we're gonna have to guard against some of that. And we're gonna take people at their own word of what they're doing.
I don't know if you noticed, but the city of Carroll's policy is almost identical to ours. And that was not on purpose. It just so happened that we both had the same sample to go off of, and that's what we used. So
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Now, they had a little different on the mileage, and
Yeah, that was.
that part was a little different. Do you guys want to go into that right now? Do you want to look at
Sure.
updating our policy about was it, we on 75 miles? Or
Mhm.
was it 80? I can't remember.
75.
We're at 75 miles.
Well, they pretty much didn't put a mileage on it, did they? I think they just said to stay away from hot spots and that type of situation. If you get yourself into that situation, you're going to be coming back and you're going to be masked at the workplace for 14 days. That kind of what everybody reads into that.
Yeah, that's how I read it, was if you're in a county with a count or current count, and that's important to watch the state website, is this 250 or more. When you come back, you need to wear a mask for 14 days. You need to really watch yourself very, very close for those 14 days. I think that's probably a little bit more relaxing of the rules that we have. I don't want to jeopardize all the workers, you know, because of a vacation, but yet I also understand that people work and they want to take their time off too. I know there's not a lot of places to go right now, but there is things that can go on.
There was things I liked better about theirs in that instead of a mileage limit, they had a threshold of 250 people. The question I have is, what if you're driving through one of those counties? For example, Dallas County has over 700 people. If you just drive through Dallas County to get somewhere to go see a grandparent or go fishing, does this apply to you?
That's a good question, Neil, because that's one reason why I didn't do the trip that I normally do. Is it was the gauntlet of counties after county after county that had high numbers. Now, would have I gotten out? Most likely not. But if I'd had fuel problems or other issues, there's a good chance I would have gotten out. And if I did, I probably should have isolated when I came back. So
It does say travel to an Iowa County. It has to. So
Yeah, I think it's more of a destination, you know, that I would be zeroing in on, I guess.
Well, I mean, when I read this thing, it kind of opens it up clear through the whole state of Iowa, doesn't it? I mean,
Well,
you can
there's
travel anywhere in the state except for those high areas.
there's probably 29 or 30 counties probably that have 250 or more.
Crawford County has right at 200 people. What happens if a person has a farming operation or camping or fishing or living, for example, in Crawford County, and it goes over the 250 mark?
Yeah, and you know, it will. I think it's just a matter of time till it will.
They just set up the Test Iowa up there this week.
Yeah, that's Sarah brought up a good point. The Test Iowa just happened there this week, and you know that's going to drive the numbers higher. It has to. You know, I guess it kind of really, people need to kind of take care of themselves a little bit here too. Yeah, driving through one doesn't cause a problem, I don't believe at all. And if you're doing a farming operation, you're probably by yourself or one other person maybe. I don't see that as an issue. But it just takes one. It just takes one time.
As far as employees living in other counties, they have been. And I think that affects the comp center, if I remember
Yes.
correctly.
Jail.
Yeah. So, sure, those employees are doing what they need to do to.
Social distance.
I
Yeah, Carrie works in Crawford
Yeah,
County.
Carrie's still employed if we still have a contract with them.
you know, I don't have any specific examples, but our IT guy, for example, lives in Manning. He's just a few miles from the Crawford County border, and I assume they'll be over 250. You know, if he lived in Crawford County, would he have to wear a mask every day?
Up in Carroll.
Well, I think we can play the what if game all day long.
But there's things I did like about that, and that does give people the freedom to vacation where they want. They understand before they leave that if they vacation in Dallas or Polk or Woodbury County, for example, they're going to have to wear a mask and self-evaluate themselves for a couple of weeks.
And I would appreciate the honesty out of the employee, even if they just were in that county or they had exposure to someone from that county and they come back and they wear their mask. I wish their honesty would tell their coworkers that, yeah, I was there and I'm going to wear a mask. And then that gives the option for the coworkers to put one on too for a short period of a few days if they would like to also.
Well, you're gonna have the honesty come into play if any one of us would get the contact tracing phone call
Right, absolutely.
that we may not be positive, but the person that we came in contact was positive.
Yep.
So then you have to move forward. There should probably be something in there that if somebody is contact tracing, same rules would apply.
Well, as far as the travel situation, I mean, the city's travel restriction is based on CDC guidelines and said advisories and restrictions for travel within the United States. So, I mean, they're really not putting any restrictions on where you go, you know. But it must be make plans to travel domestically, and I'm assuming that's by domestic. I think they're not recommending air travel. Is that what that means? Does anybody know what that would mean?
Domestic means in the United States.
Yeah.
Well, what does domestically means in the United States, or the type of travel?
I think it means inside the states too also. You're reading that exposure.
Mhm. Yeah. Exactly.
It doesn't address contact tracing,
Yep.
notification, but still.
That would be contact tracing, yeah.
Says an employee, so.
So let's say you go to Jimmy John's and paid, and then they call you, or I ate at Jimmy John's 3 days ago, and they just announced they had one of their cashiers was positive,
Yeah.
it's that whole.
So what do you guys think? I mean, I would certainly like to open it up a little bit for the employee's sake to get some vacation, get rid of some of this abnormal time, but I also would want the coworkers to feel like they are safe when someone does come back to work.
Personally, I like the city policy. I don't think we have to follow in their footsteps, but a little bit of uniformity is good.
And I would agree with Neil on that. And I think that there's going to have to be a certain degree of honesty among the employees and staff, as far as, where you've been. And I think they have to take that upon themselves. It's their responsibility to be accountable for their actions and activities.
Dean, I think that holds true no matter what policy we use. So don't you think so?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't think we can really restrict any vacations. If a person wants to take a vacation, we cannot restrict them from taking vacation time. So that kind of plays into it a little bit too.
Well, I agree, but this does present a challenge for them when they come back, if they are going to have to be required. If they hit that certain parameter, they're going to have to be required to wear a mask. And maybe we can just require it if they go on vacation, when they come back, if they just wear it for the first week they're back, that should cover, is that enough time? 5 working days with your coworkers
I
for
mean,
something to show up?
They changed the positive case, lived with somebody who worked at a hospital, and they let that person go back to the hospital. So
Yeah.
that was somebody, roommate with a positive case.
Okay.
And public health allowed that person to go back to work.
So
As far as vacation, department heads have the right to approve or deny a vacation request. Yeah, they can deny a vacation request, but they're
can we,
still entitled to be paid out for that vacation if you're refusing them
right,
the
right.
time.
That opens us up to payout.
Yeah, and nobody has it in their budget to be paying out all their vacation.
So do you think and ask your department, do you think it's out of the line to, if a person goes on vacation, when they come back, if they just tell them, say, that's fine, it's great, go enjoy yourself. When you come back, please wear a mask for a week. You think that's too much to ask?
No.
No matter where you went?
I thought 14 days seemed pretty.
Lenient too. The symptoms should show
No matter
up.
where they went though?
No,
Or
I follow this. If
the
they went to
following,
a,
yeah.
a high,
Yeah. I'm
or
sorry.
or they left the state.
I think at least a week, because that's from a week plus but next Monday you would know, but they'll be out of there for 2 days. So that's 7 days. Should know whether they've come up with any symptom at all.
Yeah, I don't care how many days.
Okay.
I can see where we want to get people to go on vacation or use up that time so we don't create a liability. But my problem I'm having with this, let's say somebody goes on vacation, and sure they're entitled to it and all that. But then we come back with a positive, and then we infect the whole goddamn bunch of employees for a department. That's where I'm having kind of a heartburn on this thing, is opening it up that far. I think if we definitely leave and go out, they need to come back with some sort of restrictions myself.
Will the mask cover that situation?
I mean, the thing is, Iowa was on the national news this morning as a hotbed in the nation. So you can go on vacation to any number of states with less cases than Iowa has, because they're just not testing. So kind of what Jean said. I mean, do you leave it up to the department head because Jean knows her person just went to somebody's house and camped 3 spots away? Or, I mean, if you go anywhere, there might be less cases than what you're seeing in Iowa, because those other states just aren't testing. That makes sense?
And there are places in Iowa that have 0. There's still 5 counties.
Yeah.
They don't have it. No. So they fit the right parameters, but.
But if you go to
We-
Nebraska, they're just not doing the level of testing like
that-
we
that
are in Iowa.
here.
If you go, we just said, when they go to Crawford and set up a test Iowa site, the numbers always go up, but several of those people are asymptomatic. They wouldn't have even showed up as a number on the map had they not stood in a line and got tested.
Correct. And
No matter where.
Would you feel better if we left the state of Iowa out of that and just have any employee who's traveled to a county with more than 250 cases? That would take the state line out of the picture, but still have the county incident rate involved.
I'd like to just make one comment.
hey, go ahead. Gene would like to make a
I just
comment.
want to say, with looking at my staff alone, they're all smart enough and use enough common sense. I think if they thought that they had a very good chance of being exposed, the last thing that they would do would be come to our office and expose everyone else. I think we have to put some trust in our employees as well, to know that they're going to use common sense. They're going to do what's best. Nobody wants to be that person that brings it back to the courthouse,
No.
you know? So that's just my thoughts.
And the flexibility, maybe Gene allows that person to work from home that following week after, because they're still saying when you open, to still have the flexibility of having people social distance away from each other at the office. So you can still leave that door open to let some people work at home some of the time. Because you're gonna have to cover the people that are 65 and older with compromised immune systems too. They would be in that work from home category still after we open.
Gene Miners, were you thinking about having some type of restriction as we have in our travel policy today? The travel policy today says that anybody that comes back from travel will be required to self-isolate away from work for 14 days. That's what we have today.
You know, I just don't feel comfortable with this thing for some reason. And I can see why people need to get away. I think we're all getting fed up, but I guess and I understand, and I like to place a lot of trust in our employees, but it's that they may all have a good intentions, but you know, with the way this thing is spread, they could walk through a hot spot and not even know what's going on until it's too late.
Denison.
I do like this city, the Carroll, this here, the way they've got it set up. It makes them have to wear a mask.
2 weeks.
You know, if you look at where we're going to go in here in the state of Iowa, you go Polk County, Sioux County, you're all going to be not following these guidelines here. Really.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
We wanted employees to wear masks when they're dealing with customers anyway.
Yeah.
So they'd be wearing it a little extra. Obviously,
Little
you'd want them.
And I can see where people want to go to Polk County if they got grandkids down there or family. And
You know, if later on in the, you know, say 45 days from now, you get into the end of June, early July, people are going to be wanting to vacation at Okoboji, and you're going to have some commingling of people all the time that you don't know. It's just plain and simply going to happen. And if you're at a cabin or something like that, and all of a sudden their neighbor comes in who you don't know, I mean, these things can happen. Is that kind of what you're thinking about, Gene?
that's what I'm thinking about.
They're not intentional by any means, but they're going to happen. And I guess, Mike, I have a question for Sarah, and the question is this: the current restriction is 14 days isolation, can we have a minimum of say 3 days? You isolate for 3 days. Would that person, if they were totally isolated, would they be able to know after 3 days whether or not they were?
No,
No. What is that? What is it?
they're saying you can pick it up 11 days prior to your first symptom.
Oh boy,
Which is
I
why,
thought it was less than that, but
makes sense.
I think it generally is, but it could be 11 days in certain cases.
Yeah, so there's no, people don't just boom, get sick within 3 days. It can linger, you might not have picked it up from your vacation. You might have came home and went to the grocery store and restocked your pantry and picked it up in Carroll and then got symptoms 3 days later. There is no way of knowing where you picked it up at.
Unless you want the one license.
Yeah.
That's your only shot. And did
Yeah.
you stop and not get fuel?
Mhm.
You can get this the craziest thing too, so.
Yeah.
Well, I like the policy. I think we should ease up a little bit. We'll give the employees the benefit of the doubt. They make a decision on the 250. Now, I know that they need to keep track of the state website because the numbers change constantly. So it's just one of those things. And most of the people I think here are probably not interested. They're not interested in going on cruises right now. They're probably been scared enough. They're probably not interested in going on these long places away. So I feel comfortable. They're going to try to readjust, stay in the state, go see relatives, people they probably know and trust. So I don't have a too big issue with it.
There's a couple things I like about the policy. First of all, it is not restricted in that we're not telling people they cannot go on vacation. And secondly, it does protect the people who are staying here, because if someone goes to one of these counties that has 250 or more people, they're going to have to wear a mask when they get back for 2 weeks. And then their coworkers can decide at that point whether or not to wear a mask. So we're not restricting people, and yet we are protecting fellow employees.
We also are we still kicking around when we open of our employees wearing masks or their choice?
I think they should wear the mask. I'll kind of chime in here because I haven't said anything. I'm open with reopening as of, if you guys want it to be Monday. I do think the employees need to wear masks since they deal with the public quite a bit. Also encouraging proper hand washing and frequent hand washing. Obviously, the governor said today at 11, she's going to be opening up a lot of activities for everybody. And I understand that, that draws concern for some people, but I do think we need to open back up. I do like the 14 days, not the 7, but the 14 days wearing the mask, which puts me at a crossroad because obviously you guys are all well aware I have a full-time job and I'm not vacationing, but once they open up my full-time job, I will be going into all these counties. So, you guys need to you can use me as an example. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to mask when I come in, or do you guys want me to Zoom in? Because I will be going to every single county. That's my job. So I'd like you guys to use me as an example. Like if I was an employee traveling, what would you do?
I thought at the last meeting that we had decided that we would leave it optional for the employees with a mask because of the plexiglass that we installed.
Yeah, and now
You do have that sneeze guard too, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether I want to revisit that or not. I know.
Yeah.
And that's just it. If the tighter they fit, the better they are.
Yeah, the N95s
And-
aren't even,
1% change is
the
50%
N95
of the
masks
problem.
filter down to 0.3 microns and the COVID-19 is 0.06 to 0.14. So even your N95s aren't 100%, and we're not even wearing N95s. But
It's
Certainly
just-
not having to wear a mask the entire time, but if the employee feels comfortable going up there, more comfortable, they're certainly allowed to wear the mask.
Okay, so we're gonna still leave it up to employees to wear masks if they want. Looks like we're gonna lean more towards these rules. Now, if adopting the ones that the city is going to try to adhere to. Was there any other changes you wanted to make to that?
And Stephanie, with you traveling, I would absolutely recommend zooming in.
So would I.
That's what they're saying. Any social distancing that can still be done within coworkers, you know, split shifts, still allowing the people to work from home. That is what we have to, having the soft opening for the courthouse just takes appointments only for 2 weeks. Several counties are soft opening that way, several. So if we would not open 100%, it's what several of the other counties are doing, by appointment only.
Well, my
Control the-
full-time job hasn't opened up, so it's not, and I don't know when they will, but I'm just saying, I was trying to give an example of what do we do?
Should an employee not use their vacation? Is there an opportunity for them to carry over some beyond what's allowed now? Should they choose not to use their vacation time? Because the handbook does address that a little bit, that they are allowed to carry over some.
I'm not able to hear that conversation.
They carry over a week now. They carry over 2 weeks.
Carrie would like to know if we're considering a change in the handbook to allow vacation more than what's in the handbook to be carried over.
I think if you would allow that, that would encourage maybe people not to go on vacation right now and think, you know what, maybe I'll wait till next year to take that trip to Texas or, you know.
We'll take the small trip here in Iowa, but we won't do the big one someplace else.
Right.
I get that.
Right now, you can carry over, I think, 2 or 3 days, no problem. And if you have more than that, you can carry up to 5 days with department head approval. But yeah, if you guys would consider allowing more than that to be carried over, you may allow people to make a better decision and say, maybe I'll go on that trip that I was gonna take this summer. Maybe I'll wait till next summer if I can carry that week over.
It's really,
I would be more open to that and just make that just a 1-year deal though. 'Cause
Yeah.
if you go further than that, and I know this, we may be still in this situation a year from now. But one thing we gotta do with this vacation is make sure we don't create ourselves a big liability in the future.
Yeah, I don't think we can keep people from taking vacation, but I do like the idea of carryover. What are they allowed right now to carry over?
More than 5 days.
5 days? Okay.
And I really would have no trouble doubling that.
Me neither.
the only,
Gene, go
the only,
along.
the only thing I can see is I think most of our departments, it won't change anything. We have a couple of departments that services could be affected by doing that. Because they don't have the personnel to do that service on a regular, steady basis.
But Courtney made the comment, it's up to the department head as well, when you're gonna use that vacation time, correct?
Right. Yes, department head
Yeah,
has the right to approve or deny vacation.
and I don't think regardless how size the department, it's gonna have to be understood that you're gonna be able to take it when it's gonna work out. Not just when you desire to do it, but that we have to make sure we cover our functions and our responsibilities back here.
And I'm sure we're doing that today. I mean, you know, even without that, I'm sure even if there was no COVID-19, we would still plan vacations when it was feasible. If you got 4 people that want to take vacation the same week, obviously that's probably not going to work. So
we could nip it in the bud by saying we will allow the department heads to carry over up to, let's say, 10 days from 2020 to 2021, period. And that way it still has to be used up by the end of next year. And it's still up to department heads. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
I'm okay with that.
Makes sense. Ashton, makes sense to you? Gary?
Good with that.
Okay, I think that looks like something we probably should put that in a document here.
You like it?
Well, are we going, one of the goals here is, are we going to redo our, what we have here called the, kind of like the city did, redid their infectious disease action plan. So is that the plan to do, is to redo that? And basically, we're okay with everything else except maybe the travel plans?
Well, I would like some guidance, because if you want to change it, then I would just need to change the current one and you guys would approve it.
Right.
But I would need to know what you wanted to do.
Well, I'd like to have the current one changed, and we'll add the extra 5 days of carryover. Is allowed. There's 5 that's currently in the handbook, and then it'll be an extra 5. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying up to the department heads, they can carry over up to an extra 5 days, but it has to be used during the year, calendar year 2021.
Okay.
I think Gene had a good point, not making this a forever thing.
Right.
Yeah, I remember back when we had an issue like this, that it created a big liability. Also, we had people that quit and they wanted to cash out on it.
Okay,
That's one thing we don't want.
that's the vacation side of it. Now, do we want her also to alter that document and say, use the parameters that the city has put down, the 250 cases, which we know that that's probably going to affect a lot of counties here shortly.
I would, for the next meeting, I'd like Courtney to have an amendment ready for the vacation carryover, like we talked about, and also an amendment to our current COVID-19 policy that allows travel. But if they go to a county with more than 250 cases, they need to wear a mask for 14 days. That would be my wishes.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
So Courtney, would you know, I'm looking at both action plans here. So you're clear on what you would do as far as taking out what and replacing it with?
Yes.
Okay.
Courtney, if you could make those changes and email them out to us for review before the meeting, if we see something in it ahead of time, maybe we could get it fixed before we bring it up for approval at the meeting.
Okay.
So are we talking about the meeting on Friday, or are we talking about the meeting on Monday?
I think the meeting on Monday for that.
Okay. Yeah, give Jordan some more time to do that.
Yeah. And the meeting on Friday is still on as scheduled. Sarah, I'll have Sarah call me Thursday night or early Friday morning, whatever she can do, and we'll make that quick decision whether we're having it or not. And we'll notify everybody, because I don't know if there are being changes by Friday.
Okay, but circling back, are we opening the courthouse?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about that now?
Oh, the opening of the courthouse. Do you want to establish that date? Do you want to leave it tentatively June 1st?
Or are you
June
opening?
June 1st is a good date for me. I mean, I don't know if there is a good date, to be quite honest with you, because I think that no matter what we do, we will be putting employees at risk somewhat. My biggest concern about opening up is we cannot control if we're going to open up completely and let the door open for people to come in, and we expected the employees to monitor and enforce the guidelines that we're setting up as far as 10 people, as far as social distancing, and that type of thing? Is that what we're expecting them to do?
Yeah, there's several courthouses that are coming up with a policy for opening up their courthouse. And several of them are opening up on Monday, the 18th. They're calling it a 2-week transitional period. So they're saying that they're not allowing any more than 12 customers to be assisted at any given time, 2 people per window max. They're highly encouraging the public to wear cloth masks. They're installing the plexiglass windows on all the counters and put the plexiglass at least 6 feet apart. The courthouse will remain locked and operate by appointment only. So this would be the open up. You can still open up by appointment only. Office staffing will still be left up to department heads. Employee mask criteria should be left up to the department heads and updated with that infectious policy. Hand sanitizer be placed by each service window. Front desk some of them are opening up their front door for people to come in and then they exit out of a different door. That's just what some of the counties are doing. One way in, one way out. And then wiping down door handles, counter surfaces with disinfectant after every transaction. Now, we told Zach to be here because the cleaning of the courthouse is highly going to be on him or the other department heads with the surfaces. And we talked about, okay, are we going to wipe all the surfaces or are we just going to spray some sort of disinfectant after every transaction?
Well, personally, I think we should wait with, I don't know if there's any need to hurry opening up until after that 27th with the driver's license, which is why I think June 1st is probably adequate. My idea is that June 1st, we still monitor the door and only let so many people in the door at one time, whether that's by appointment or whatever. But June 1st is still, I think, soon enough, because things are getting done what we're doing right now. You know, as you're hearing the people talking, the media and all that, everybody's adapting to new ways of doing business. And I think Dean made the comment, whatever we do, probably ain't going to be, there's going to be some problems with it regardless. I guess maybe I want to be more cautious than jumping in the first in the fire.
Well, who monitors the door then?
My thought would be that we have someone from a rotation from the departments.
Well, you realize some departments only have 2 people.
Yeah, I know.
You know, that's kind of an issue.
I needed to say something too, since Gene, you brought up driver's license. And last week I addressed the board on driver's license. We had our treasurer's executive board that met with the DOT, and they shared information with us saying that we had 60 days for the end of the proclamation to issue driver's license. Well, we were contacted by the DOT. Yesterday we had a conference call with them and things have changed. So we were told that the governor's legal counsel advised us that because of some state statute, that's not allowable. So they're changing everything. right now, if your driver's license expired, you still have just the 60 days to take care of it. So we're trying to wrap our mind around what good the proclamation did, because if it expired 60 days ago, you're now expired.
Oh,
So we asked the DOT, we told them, we told our customers, based on the information shared with us, that they had 60 days from the date of the end of the proclamation to renew. And now we're finding out that's not the case. Well, the DOT is kind of scrambling. They don't have anything in place yet, because I think that they were hoping that the governor would extend the proclamation for driver's license or work with them on this. So what they're doing is they're trying to set up a website within the DOT's website. They're trying to set up a web page where people can go in. If your driver's license has expired, you can go in and submit a form to the DOT asking for a 6-month extension. And if you have this, if you're allowed the 6-month extension, you're okay to drive. So everything is just kind of in a mess right now. We don't know what to tell our customers because the DOT doesn't know how they're going to proceed yet. So what I did, the information that I had on our social media addressing driver's license, I've removed that, finding out that it's not correct. And I've just pointed everyone towards the DOT webpage to read themselves where the DOT is at. So we're in limbo right now too. We have no idea for sure what's going on. The DOT is hoping to have more information to us by next Monday. So we've got the end of the proclamation that as of right now is May 27th. And what is Monday, the 18th? So we're not talking about very much of a time frame here to get things squared away.
following Wednesday.
So with that being said, do you anticipate there being a rush then, Gene, of people coming in?
I don't know what to anticipate. I just don't know. I don't,
Yeah.
if it's easy to get a 6-month extension, probably not. But I don't, I'm more concerned there now with elderly or someone who's doesn't have internet or is not computer savvy. How do they file their forms? Hopefully they'll find, a way to file what they need to file. The DOT did also say that they planned on sending postcards to people whose licenses are due to expire or have expired to help them out. And then we've also heard rumblings that possibly they'll talk to local law enforcement agencies and ask them to kind of turn a blind eye for the time being for people who are driving with licenses that have expired. So this is all a change from, was it last Wednesday? I think, Rich, that I talked to you on this. This is all a change from last Wednesday. I don't know what to expect. I just don't know.
And you can renew your driver's license online though?
You can renew your driver's license online every other time.
Oh, every
your
other
renewal
time.
comes up,
Okay.
unless you're 70 years old or older.
So some people cannot.
Some people cannot. Yeah. But the majority of the people should be able to renew online. Or if you have any changes. If you have a CDL, no, you can't renew online.
This is getting to be a lot like working with the railroad.
I think we need to go out somewhere and have somebody issue us a bunch of baseball bats.
Well,
Change the rules
It's
on the-
frustrating for everyone, and you think you just have your mind wrapped around something and then it changes.
But that's
Well, and that was kind of the reason I had the June 1st kind of my mind was that driver's license thing. And because I think that's the thing that we have to worry about up to the courthouse. So everything else, I think, has been being done real well. I think the staff and the department heads, you've all done an excellent job of getting the public through this thing. And like I said, we're all learning how to do things different. But that's where I was going on June 1st was based on that driver's license renewals.
Well, the chatter this morning was that the clerk of courts would put a request in for July 1st to push their opening back from June 1st to July 1st.
Well, and I think you, Rich, you had a conversation with them upstairs, and that's kind of what they were talking, right?
Yeah.
I think all trials have been pushed back at least to July.
Yeah.
I mean, that was another reason why not to. I mean, the big problem we have is all our businesses is transacted within that small area of that lobby. And that's why I think whenever we open up, we're going to have to control that volume that goes through that place.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Is there, Courtney, is there a problem? I mean, if we have all this traffic all of a sudden come in for driver's licenses, is there going to be a problem on that first week of June and the primary election? Is there going to be congestion? Is there, I mean, there's going to be some issues there.
Most people are voting by mail. So I don't foresee there being a lot of people coming in to vote on that final day, Monday.
Right.
I don't see the congestion from the voters, no.
Are you having them vote in here?
We're voting at the window. Oh, you mean on election day?
Yeah.
We're voting at the Methodist Church
There is a precinct open, but they still can come in here and vote on
early.
the first day.
And
Because the election is the next day.
But
Yeah,
upstairs or in here?
Yeah, June
Upstairs.
1st is the last day they can vote early.
Okay.
And if we are open, then we would have them come to the counter. But if we're not, then they're voting at the window like we are now. But we haven't had anybody vote at the window anyway.
Okay, well, that, to me, that doesn't change too much. I still think we leave June 1st as the tentative date. If we find more information out next Monday and it requires, then maybe we move it up to the 26th, which is the day after the Memorial Day weekend, and that would only be a 4-day week. But that would be the furthest I would think we would even consider moving it up. First of all, because we'd have to make that decision Friday to open it on Monday, and that's too short a window, I think, for. But getting back to one of the biggest hurdles I'm seeing coming is who's going to monitor that lobbyway
And how are we gonna clean?
and how are you going to get it clean? Zach is one person. He cannot be taking care of 3 different buildings in that lobby every time someone walks through that door. There's just not enough time in the day.
So, I mean, what are we gonna do? You know, when we monitor the front door, are we gonna take temperatures and that type of thing, or letting anybody in who wants to come in, as long as there's no more than 10 people in the lobby? Is that what we're doing? We're just counting?
Well, Dean, you had said today that my concern, and yours was too, that some people aren't going to want to follow the rules. You know, you said.
Absolutely.
And you're going to have that anywhere, but how do you deal with that also, you know? We're not, you know, that kind of stuff. But.
Well, if we operate by appointment only, our own office can monitor the door for ourselves. We'll know what time people are coming and we'll go and allow them in if they're wearing a mask and if they will allow us to take the temperature or whatever the protocol will be. I mean, we can monitor that ourselves.
And if they don't have a mask, are we gonna give them a mask?
I think you let them know that when they make the appointment. I would tend to agree with Gene. Maybe what we ought to do is when we open this up for the first 2 weeks is just do it strictly by appointment only. And that way you can monitor it as they come in. And I think when they make that appointment, say you have to have a mask with you. And wear it.
The hospital says that, and the people still show up at the hospital and McFarland without a mask on. I mean, we have masks in the basement. I'm just saying, I think you need to
Make
just
a decision.
know that policy that if they then show up, are we gonna give them a mask? They were 71 cents.
Or either give them a mask or turn them away.
Yeah, I
Don't
mean,
go get your mask and reschedule an appointment.
yes, there has to be a decision made on that.
And another thing to keep in mind is for driver's license, we can't pick and choose who we're gonna serve. Someone calls from Crawford County and wants to come, we have to allow them in. So we're going to be coming into contact with people that are coming from hotbeds, and yet we're not allowed to go. I mean, so that's another thing to take into consideration.
Well, I think that's why we need to take temperatures.
Well, so then in that case, do you want the N95s? That one person switches and that you get the 5 use out of the N95
For the customer, you mean?
for you.
For us.
Do you have a good supply of N95s?
Oh, we've got a decent supply. 300 to 400 times 5 uses is 2,000 uses. Jean's gonna have the most contact, up close contact with the people. When you get the license, that lady's standing right there.
We do have the plexiglass,
Yeah.
which will help.
Well, I talked to Scott Jacobs right before the meeting today, and he said what they're going to do is they're going to open up partially, and mostly by appointment. But if you drive up, you call, you say you're in your car, and then they'll give you the green light to come in. So you stay in your car until you get permission to come in the door, and then the door's unlocked. You can get in. I guess another question that I have for Zach, is there any way that we can, right now we have the what I want to say, the door will open when you hit the button. Is there any way that you can look into possibly making that a motion detected switch so that once they come up, they don't have to hit the door, they don't have to hit the button, and it will just open and they can go in without touching anything? I mean, that's what like out at Pella, I guess, they open the doors and they leave them open until everybody's in, and then they shut the doors. Nobody touches the door handle, that type of thing. That would save you some time, or somebody some time, of wiping down those door handles every time, or to disinfecting that button every time. I think you should only use the right-hand door or the west door that is a self-opening door. I don't think you should even allow them to come into the other door. So I don't know, but any thoughts on that?
Oh, wait a minute, no, you can lock the ones.
You'd have to look into the motion part of it, because the good thing like Pella has is they're on a shift. So when all their guys are there, the doors come on, or we're open to the public. So I mean, you can't go that way with it. You're just gonna have to, then you're gonna have the doors unlocked all the time, which we're gonna have tons of public coming in, whether they have an appointment or not. So I just don't see any other way to keeping the doors locked all the time, and then when your appointment's there, somebody comes that you have your appointment with to let you in the door. I think leaving them open, unlocked, from 8 to 4:30, we're gonna get a lot of public in here.
Well, I think at some point in time, whether it's 5 months down the road, and we still haven't gotten this thing under control, we're probably going to have to open up that door. I guess. I don't know. I would like you to just to look into that, Zach, to see if that's a possibility. I don't know.
That or a magnetic door, lock in the door that you could hit from a remote from any of those offices that would open it up as soon as they seen somebody up there. Neil, you're talking. You're not. You're on mute.
Money here, but
I think you're talking about big bucks.
yeah.
But
Yeah. I can look
All
at
right, now you can hear me. Here's my proposal. I think we should hire a part-time person who is a door monitor that has a cell phone and takes people's temperature. They can monitor how many people are in the lobby at one time. They can have people wait in their car. They can call them or signal them when they're ready to be let in, so they aren't sitting in the lobby. And that way all of the departments could have their own people to work. So a part-time person as door manager, I think would be appropriate at this time.
And extra chambers right now.
It was. Like I said.
You know, Neil, that might not be a bad idea with the cost of door locks and stuff.
Yeah, how is that a part-time if you're doing it all day long?
What's that?
Do you guys have a problem with asking each department head if they're appointed, if their office has a appointment, if they have any issue with the door and doing it, and letting it go?
I think there's their bottle and a rag left out there in a spot where if the department head comes out and gets them, lets them in. When they go out, they wipe the buttons off and the door handles.
We don't
And
even have to touch the door. Right? The front door, we don't even have to touch it. Maybe you can hit it.
Well, it's, you know, as far as that's concerned, could we, I know that there are security firms. I know that,
get the customers to every time.
No, when we let them in, we're gonna go get them. When we make an appointment, we'll get their cell phone. We'll say, stay in your car till you're called. We'll call them when they get to when we're ready for them. We'll go to the door, we'll open the door for them, bring them in, take the temperature, bring them in, finish their work, take them back out, we'll open the door for them again. You wouldn't even have to touch the front door.
I think the issue isn't like if we're open by appointment only, that's easy.
Right.
Each department handles their own
What
customers.
happens
What
when we
happens
open
when the
it?
door's open all
When
the
we
time?
open the door.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm talking about right now for appointment, yes. Yeah, and I think that's what Zach was saying too. We're talking about two different things. We're talking about opening by appointment only, and you're talking about when we finally open the door to the public.
right.
But when we opened for appointment only, it's not gonna be an issue for us. No one even has to touch the door. We can go out, we can get our next customer when we're ready for them. We can open the door for them. They won't even have to touch the handle outside. We can bring them in and we can take them back out when we're finished. And we'll schedule an extra 5 minutes into our appointment time to allow us to screen the customer and to sanitize before our next. You know, unless you see any issues with that, I think that would work for us. But you do have to address eventually opening the door to the public, you know, when we discontinue the appointments, if we discontinue.
And the sanitizing, we talked to Zach yesterday. Is there a sanitizer you just spray? Or you paper towels and a spray? But if the person touched it here and we're wiping, then do you wipe whatever all over instead of just spraying the surface?
No, you spray the surface, let it be wet for the recommended time, depending on what you're trying to kill. Zach is fully aware. He has microban there, which is like a Seraphine. That's a 30-second kill claim for majority of the stuff that you're going to come in contact. And then if it's like the real bad stuff, MRSA, C. diff, you have to have a 3-minute wet claim. That's where I would recommend the spray. Then you wipe. But once that disinfectant touches it, you're not spreading it. But I would recommend using a disposable cloth so you throw it away every time you're cleaning. And Zach knows all that.
Well, if you're spraying it, do you have to use a cloth with it?
The microban, no. The disinfectant and a ready to use, yes.
And which one would you recommend?
I'd use microfiber. Oh, phones and stuff, those high touch areas that are tough, I'd use the spray. But as far as their countertops, I would use ready to use with the microfiber.
Zach, see, microfiber.
Yeah, and I generally use paper towels just because you use them and then you throw them away. The microfiber is good for holding all the cleaning chemical in while you're wiping them down and all that. The only problem you need to is someone would have to get behind the ground or it's in or all the officers are using them, then you're gonna end up with piles of microfiber things. They're going down to the jail, clean, and you don't know what they're going to do from there. And so, I mean, you can use whatever officer feels comfortable using, but I typically use paper towels just because when I use it, it gets thrown away. It's done.
That's fine. Paper towels are fine, Zach.
So, and as I was going to mention earlier too, I think we were talking about dates on soft opening and all that. I know a couple weeks would be good for me for getting supplies in. I was just informed yesterday that all the hand sanitizers that I have in bathrooms, and I had dispensers to put up in all the floors. It's actually a non-alcoholic hand sanitizer, which is not good. You want the alcohol to kill the virus. So the couple cases I'm getting in, they said I should have in 2 weeks. So the stuff I have now, the non-alcoholics can kill everything but the virus.
Are those bags that just go inside and something breaks the hole and they feed from there?
Yes,
Is that how-
yeah, there's pressure. You can squeeze tight, you can pull a spot on it.
There's nothing you can be refilled. Right.
The
Otherwise,
dispenser's actually gonna get replaced, because the company that made those dispensers doesn't make an alcohol.
And the hospital just sent me this exact same message. The hand sanitizers, wall dispensers shortage. See, so with everyone opening, everybody wants the same stuff. Everybody's gonna want the hand sanitizers on their walls. Everybody's gonna want the cleaning product. Everybody is going to be going through this everywhere you go. Restaurants, hair salons, stores, everyone.
Have yours ordered.
I have more, and basically what they're doing is like, they're on the list, so these people are before you, so we're and them, and next, so, yeah, I'm on the list. I should have a hand sanitizer alcohol within 2 weeks.
That's gonna get us pretty close to that June 1st date, pretty close.
But you just, the amount of cleaning supplies though, and
Yeah,
stuff,
in
you
general,
might
even
want
besides that, yeah, everything's
to
up
stay
to
by
you.
appointment for quite a while.
Hospitals are getting the main priority, which obviously they should, but then you kind of get whatever trickles down, and it kind of,
Yeah.
just varies, you know, my names and my hats in the ring for all of it. It's just a matter of time. So,
Just the process we're gonna have to go through with every customer, everything.
Yeah.
Hopefully they just do everything online for the rest of the year, right?
I would definitely encourage a soft opening, whether that start June 1st for a couple weeks. I think if you just open it up, you're gonna have absolute chaos. You're gonna have clean stuff and then shooting all over.
Well, and I think the message needs to be, especially if they can do stuff with Ashton online and the other departments online, with having people come in just for Jean's department, the number of people that are gonna be. So to try to keep the other public out, because we do have to deal with the clerk of courts and treasurer's office.
Gene, do you anticipate doing driver's tests
No.
anywhere this year?
I think they
Are
said,
you talking about like
In
physical
person,
tests or?
in
computer
person,
tests?
in person riding in the car.
We're not anticipating that for a while.
yeah, I thought they said that was on hold for quite a while.
I would assume I would tell everybody, you're not gonna do it.
Yeah, the DOT
Period.
is even, they've even cut back. DOT is at 50% of their normal.
Another railroad thing.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
I
I wanted to throw this out too, and I don't want to get off subject, but something for the supervisors to think about. Cass County passed a resolution saying they would only serve Cass County residents. So, it is in violation of the 28E agreement that they did it. So I don't know if you know anyone, any of the supervisors in Cass County that you want to talk to or not. You know, why they did it or how they did it, that's up to you. Something to think.
Rich, you want to repeat that? I can't hear that.
Cass County made the decision and they opened up their driver's license. They would serve only people from Cass County. Now that's in violation of the 28E that they have with the DOT. But that was what they did. I don't want to go down that path.
Well, I agree. We can't do that. I think, but I do know that if we're going to have, and I'm sure we're going to have people come from Crawford County, and I think we're going to have to make sure we have the precautions in place. But
Well, we could call them and somebody, someone from Cass County, give them a call and find out why they got to where they got. But there's a couple, there's got two things sitting out there that I wouldn't want to challenge, and one of them's the Constitution, the second one's the 28E. I don't want to touch either one of those. And I'm sure our county attorney will tell us not to touch either one.
I think it's gonna be easy enough to get in trouble without trying to encourage it.
Cass County only has one case.
Yeah.
Well, that's
They're
why.
trying to keep everybody
They don't
on.
want to bring anyone else in, yeah. Come on.
Well, it'd be interesting to know what Crawford County's intentions are to open up.
They're open.
I can give Dave Muehlbauer a call and find out, but it'd be interesting to know what their intentions are.
We get a daily report from the DOT that's an issuance count. You can see what other counties are doing, and most counties are zero, have been zero. But Crawford has been issuing a couple here and there. It sounds like they're doing issuance just for what they see to be essential transactions. So call them and visit with them if you'd like, or I could. They're not open to the public. I think they're just servicing people that absolutely have to be serviced because they're considered essential. What they would consider essential, I guess.
Well, I'm okay with opening up by appointment only, but I actually thought that that's what we were doing now. I thought we were doing I thought we were taking appointments and allowing people to come into the courthouse. We weren't allowing them to come in, but we would service them at the door. So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, if you want to go by appointment only, gee, we can do that Monday.
For what, driver's license?
But I think Zach's got issues with getting some of his supplies, right?
Okay,
Right.
that's fine. That's fine. But I'm just saying, I'm really okay with opening up by appointment only, and whenever.
Let's make sure we get everything.
First, start appointment only.
I would shoot for June 1st.
Well, I think we leave it at June 1st unless the DOT makes some crazy rule, then we have to do it sooner. And I'll try to be in touch with her. When did you say you just,
Excuse me,
this
Monday.
Monday? So at least we won't be open Monday. We could, if worse comes to worse, we could open up to the public on Tuesday. And no one and his dog would know it, but it'll take us a few days to get it out there. But I still think June 1st is just by appointment only until, and actually, if you wanted to start letting them in by appointment now, that's fine. Just don't advertise it for a while. You start
You
picking
know how
off.
that goes, though.
I know, but if you pick off one or two, that's just one or two.
You pick off one or two, and then somebody says something to them, and yeah, I got in. You just call them, you'll get in.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't do that.
And then you run into someone calling you complaining because why did you wait? Why did you service this person, but I can't get in? You know, I think you're opening up a can of worms there.
And remember, you're on live on YouTube too, so you just advertise it.
I do agree. I think once we have all of our supplies ready.
There's nobody on there, is there? But us.
So
I
we're basically all in agreement. June 1st is a tentative
I am.
date.
Yeah, and you just need to put out the parameters of the mask. You just need to put that out there that we're gonna open. We're gonna only allow 2 people per counter. You just gotta put those parameters out there.
Is there any way we can set up a designated phone line for appointments? Just asking, like for our office. Otherwise, once we open up for appointments, I can see all 7 of our phones ringing off the wall and not getting anything else done other than trying to schedule appointments.
What, I guess,
a designated.
so
Like a-
what
a
you- what
certain
you're
phone
saying, though, is you don't want to have an appointment when Courtney has an appointment.
No,
Is that
she's
what you're
saying
saying?
she wants a designated line in her office
For appointments
for
called.
appointment only calls.
A different phone number that people would call for appointments to keep our other lines free, to service customers that call. And so that we're not all, right now, we call 1200 and all 8 lines could be ringing at the same time. And we could be doing nothing but scheduling appointments. If we had.
I would think that there'd be a way to do that. Just have Carl and Zach.
Yeah, there should be a way.
Look into it.
Or a cell phone, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just let me know what you need.
We'd probably need to add a line.
Yeah. we need a line. I have a. Somewhere.
Okay,
Dead cell phone. Something.
Figure out something.
okay.
Just let me know.
That might be an answer too, is just get cell phone for free. Might be cheaper. Just looking.
Dean, was you gonna talk to Dave Muehlbauer?
I'll give him a
You want
call.
me to?
I'll call him.
I was gonna say, okay,
Well, you want to
I
call, go
could too,
ahead.
but
I
if
can
you're
call
gonna
him.
do it,
Okay,
no, it makes me no difference, just so one of us do.
yep. I'll give him a call.
That's why I said one phone line. And people are gonna get mad because they're gonna call it over and over and it's gonna be busy, but they just have to be shut.
It'll get better.
I should be able to make it.
Okay,
So we'll
okay.
talk about
A totally different telephone number. So then, okay.
it. We can just put the option on the IVR too, where when they call in, it says press 1 to schedule appointment.
Okay.
So I mean, that's an option too.
Okay.
Well, Carl and I'll talk about it.
2 people per counter.
That's what most of the guidance says, 2 people per counter. I can send this
And
out.
max 10 in lobby.
Yeah. You create your parameters of what you're gonna allow.
Three, it could be
Opening courthouse, built safety guidelines. Court of supervisors.
You're sending that, those guidelines out, Sarah?
Yep,
Yeah, she'll send them to everybody.
All right, thank you.
But I like the 2 people per counter.
Yep.
And the 10 max.
So, for instance, our office, could we put 2 at the front and 1 on the side, have 3 people?
Yeah, you probably could go with, because Ashley, I think she's been across from me. I rather doubt if she has the time, she'd be lucky to have 1. That's something we can watch.
And we're not gonna utilize our side.
Courtney's gonna shut her side down, but she'll
Because
help you.
I think if we, because I don't want people there, I want them to come around.
Come, oh, yeah, come on. And that would help Gene flow out.
Well, there'd be less congestion.
be 9 total,
We could go 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
we could do 9 total. And that would still be 10.
So then are you including your 2 driver's license stations?
Driver's license is not gonna run at all.
Open yet.
It'll just be normal regular work for the.
2
period
weeks
of time.
at least.
Is that right? Dean?
Well, June 1st, we talking about having to
Or
start.
you just- you're just- Like,
The driver's license.
I would say 1 driver's license station.
We've got 1 set up, we've got another one to catch overflow. They can just schedule 1 for now,
you use the back one, the newer ones.
keep it, well, if
A
we
little
got it
more
all set up,
isolation,
yeah.
yeah, once you get a couple, weeks
Yeah.
to get that ironed out. That would be a little more isolation, you wouldn't have people walking right by
So-
you, well,
so we can
closer
have-
to me and Sarah.
We have to bring out our count, 2 at the front, 1 at the side, and then 1 at the side. That's it.
The thing we have to watch out for though is because if she does a driver's license for a moped or a child, the guardian has to be in there with them. So
Right.
now we have to, but, and maybe that's another thing too, you want to do all driver's licenses by appointment.
Iris, we put in a driver's license by appointment.
Also, so that'd be something that work out who to call that number.
Or did we throw away the whole idea of us using our windows outside
For
for property tax and motor vehicle transactions.
No, you can still use it right now.
The only person who opened was her with the window. She never opened with the
We've
window.
never opened. We've been doing everything online through the mail or through the Dropbox. And I was thinking June 1st was the target date for using our windows after we got everything set up, but
I thought about this by appointment, letting them in the door,
Okay.
because we're gonna have to figure that out
Anyway,
because this is not going away till for a while.
so forget about using it.
I would just bring them in and we'll try to work on that. And we'll probably have to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
We may have to, because
Okay.
they're just, because unlike Courtney, she may not see anybody for 2 days, but then she may have 10 people in a row.
It's gonna be a lot of trial and error. Give it our best shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our traffic basically comes from employees and other departments.
Right.
It's not the public.
that's what's
And
voting.
Yeah.
Ashley will see an increase in her traffic once we start.
She will,
servicing.
yeah, she will for a while. She's got a little hump to get over to. The employees stuff, if they call you, you can go into the boardroom. If it wasn't, you get a rough idea.
Yeah, and if they're an employee that's in our building, I don't really count them as an extra person because they're already, in the- you know what I mean?
You're already a mix,
And most of them come in the office anyway.
Window does work.
Yeah, I haven't had anybody vote there yet, but
we did a passport.
yeah, we did. We were able to help somebody.
Okay. More things to think about, and let us know what you find out on the Crawford County. Greene County is showing some signs too, but I'm not too worried about that. Anybody got any other questions, comments? Okay. Anybody?
I'll let you know Monday what we find out from the DOT.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I take a motion to adjourn.
It's a crapshoot.
It is.
Because does she want to open things up or?
What could happen?
Somebody raise your hand.
Well,
I'll make a
that's-
motion to adjourn.
Thank Dean.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Oh, well, when she
Aye.
comes to the office, when
We'll
the
let
legislators
you know
come,
as
all
soon as we
these.
can about Friday.